Did Dr. King help usher in an equally oppressive police state, or equality for all free people during the civil rights movement of the 1960s? I'm warning you now, this video about Martin Luther King Jr. Day isn't your typical propaganda piece like you see in corporate media. I'm not going to speak about Dr. King himself. There's already a lot of information out there on him from many different sources, and I encourage everyone to question the official storyline of Dr. King and his death. It's clear if you do some independent research, at the very least, we have not been told the truth about his assassination. I'm not saying I know what happened. However, like with most official storylines for events like this, our government has kept the truth from the public on purpose, using its puppets and corporate media to push their version and ridicule anyone who questions their version of events or conspirators. Instead, in this video, I'm going to focus on what our government accomplished through all of this. Our rulers have taken the mantle of civil rights and used this holiday to further indoctrinate the sheeple, trying to convince us that they are there to help and ensure we have the privileges or rights they give us on pieces of paper. As I watch footage of the civil rights struggle, it seems pretty clear to me Dr. King's idea of equality was established by our government. If you want to gather and protest a person or business or concept that is independent of the institution of government, it is celebrated. However, if you try to speak to the power of government or any other aspect of the actual institution of government, our rulers will treat us equally as bad as they did Dr. King and the brave people who marched and protested with him. I've watched hours of footage seeing free people question the institution of our rulers, and the result is the same. Give the protesters a little time, then bring in the enforcers to make sure there is order and disperse the crowd so as not to attract much attention from the sheeple.
No fucking way.
Missoula, Montana.
You back now! Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Demanding accountability and defending your rights against the police specifically, and the government generally, are difficult and dangerous tasks. Your right to watch the government and record what you see is a natural right that is protected by the Constitution, and it cannot be taken away by the government.
I decided to take my daughter into downtown Spokane on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the 21st of January 2019. My purpose was to get some footage of the march to take place and to take my daughter to the expo after at the convention center. At the convention center, the city was putting on an event for the day to commemorate Dr. King and the ideas he promoted. Since we got there a little late, we decided to get a bite to eat and find a place on the route of the march to get some footage and watch. I have to say, on the way to the convention center, and then while we were walking the route, I was amazed at the very heavy police presence. Leaving the center, I noticed something with the security gates to get in. See if you notice what I did. If not, don't worry, I'll point it out later in this video. As we walked the route and looked for something to eat, I was gathering footage of cops in an effort to show the police state presence. My daughter and I both agreed with the police everywhere and them suspiciously looking at people like my daughter and I out on the streets, this didn't feel like a celebration. It felt like the police state taking over downtown. A quick side note, I even saw a cop collecting money out of meters. Seems strange on this day when government employees have the day off. They would have this guy out collecting holiday pay when the rest of his fellow workers had it off, unless they were part of the security detail or were on regular patrols. This is just another example of our rulers doing what they want and not caring about budgets or anything like that. I mean, why would they care? They don't earn the money they spend. They steal it from free people on this land. After walking the whole route of the march and finding a spot to get footage and observe, I had some time to reflect. Remembering all the clips I've seen of blacks being attacked, kidnapped, and caged by our government for wanting to exercise their rights. Who were the ones doing the kidnapping and taking them to cages? The thug order-following enforcers of the state. That's who. How ironic that it's these same enforcers now providing security. It makes sense though. These people aren't marching, protesting our government. They're celebrating it. So of course our rulers would put out their enforcers to make sure this display of unity between the rulers and the ruled goes off without a hitch. It's kind of funny, unity was the name given to this march. I was taught Dr. King fought for equal rights for all under the law, not unity. I say that because there's a huge difference between unity and equal. This is government propaganda at its best, taking over a movement and changing the meaning of it to further their agenda of control over us all. I'm not going to show a lot of footage from the Unity March itself on this video. If you want to see the full march as I recorded it, a link to my live feed of the event is in the description, as well as all of my sources for this video. While you're checking out my sources, don't forget to hit the like button, share this video with everyone you know, and of course subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave me a comment as well and let me know what you think and share your thoughts on this subject with the entire world. Make no mistake, as much as Dr. King should be regarded for some of his words that do speak truths, he was also a statist. He believed in the system of government, one that would establish equal rights. Many people have said it before me, and I'm saying it now. If government can establish or give us something, it can take it away as well. Believing in the goodness of a few people to make rules for others to live by is very noble. But to paraphrase Lysander Spooner, even a government held in high regard, servicing the majority of its citizens well and winning the approval of that majority, is still viewed as tyrannical by those not belonging to said majority. I find it very ironic the same enforcement gang that will beat you down and take you to a cage if you stand against the authority government claims to have is here. As I said before, if you want to speak out against pretty much anything but the institution of government or its enforcers, they will allow it. That's what this celebration is all about. In contrast, as you saw in the clips at the beginning of this video, if you want to gather and speak out against the government itself, these order followers are set loose on the citizenry with full force. Free people are taken to cages because they disagree or act in a way not approved by our rulers. Ask yourself these two questions when you think about government. Is it ever okay to initiate force on someone who hasn't harmed another person or their property or defrauded anyone? And do you believe anyone has a higher claim to your life or property than you do?
When you were little, did you go through stuff like this?
No, it all changed after 9/11.
Let us come together so with that we can truly say,
Supposedly flew planes in some buildings.
have overcome.
Our government lied to us about what happened.
We have overcome.
Give up all our rights.
We have overcome today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we have overcome today. God bless you, Spokane.
I have to admit, after I went through security and into the building before the march, I didn't have the feeling these security workers were providing the greatest of security. Not that I think anybody really needed it anyways, but as I've stated before, I think this was all a show just to condition us anyhow. This security detail seemed very lax and not very worried about securing things. That's just my observation though, and that, along with my knowledge that the TSA was audited fairly recently and 95% of the banned items weren't kept from entering secure areas. If the TSA is that horrible, I have zero faith in these weekend warriors here at this event. They weren't even utilizing the full ability of these metal detectors. The displays on the top of the units weren't even on and giving the workers readings. In fact, the only way I could even tell these metal detectors were on were these small green lights on them. I ask, what is the point of having these security processes if they aren't even being used? To me, it seems like programming. We don't need the government to protect us. It should be clear by now they can't and don't. We can take care of ourselves without mob rule, which is really what elections and democracy are about. It's not about freedom. It's about a larger group deciding how a smaller group should live their lives regardless of how they feel. If you want to support my work, I have links in the description to PayPal and GoFundMe. And you can also check out the Questionable Authority merchandise store and show your support of freedom and liberty everywhere you go. I finally have a new design ready, inspired by the yellow vests in France. These people are true freedom fighters, and we all need to stand up and join them. The reality is, we are all slaves to the banksters that make up the fiat currency system that central banks of most countries operate on. I say, join the yellow vests and stand up to the real threat to freedom, the Federal Reserve. It was Mayor Amschel Rothschild that said, "Give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes the laws." I hope you enjoyed this video, and it encourages you to question everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit the like button and share it with everyone you know. Find us on Twitter, as well as censorship-free platforms like BitChute and Steemit or DTube. Of course, subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to smile at someone you don't know every day.